What's going on, everybody? Jake Peffer here. Welcome back to Jake's Cinema Room. I'm continuing on with my rewatch of the Fast and Furious franchise, and I am now up to part 5, which is entitled Fast 5. In my previous video, I talked about Fast and Furious, which I consider to be the worst in the series. Now we're going to talk about what I would consider to be the very best in the series. Fast 5 is the culmination of everything that was good in the first 4 movies, all brought together for one awesome, very highly entertaining experience. This is just, there's no way around it. It's a fantastic movie. Like, this is a great action movie. It's got great action set pieces. It brings everybody back together who was important in those first 4 movies. With the exception of a couple people, but it brings back so many cool characters, and it's like an Avengers style Fast and Furious movie because you have all these big pieces and these big characters coming together to work as a team, and it's just an entertaining ass movie. Like, there's no other way around it. What's great with this one is the fact that they go the route of, hey, what if we took the Fast and the Furious and we mixed it with Ocean's 11, because that's essentially what this movie is. It's a heist movie. It's literally the Fast and Furious characters as the Ocean's 11 character. Justin Lin is the director here. He did part 4 and part 3, and he's done the majority of this series. He'll do a few more entries that we'll get into and some more reviews later on. But I don't know what it is about Justin Lin in these movies. Like, he does such a fantastic job of choreographing these excellent stunts, getting the best out of these characters, because all these actors in their own right are good, but when they're all working together, that's when they really play well off of one another, and really we get the full essence of a lot of their characters, because some of these characters honestly were somewhat forgettable in maybe their other entries that they may have been in, but bringing them all together, it just works so much better as a dynamic, and it's just such a fun and entertaining movie. Not only do you have Vin Diesel, Paul Walker, and Jordana Brewster coming back, but you have Tyrese Gibson back as Roman. You've got Ludacris as Tej. Gal Gadot is back as Giselle. Sung Kang once again is back as Han, which means this movie also takes place before Tokyo Drift because he is once again alive. And then you've also got Don Omar and Tego Calderon back as Leo and Santos, who now have their official names instead of just going by their real names in part 4. But what's awesome about this movie is one part of what you could consider the villains in this. We get Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And I know some people might be like, "Oh, The Rock, who cares?" But honestly, this was a breath of fresh air for this series. Inserting The Rock into this franchise, I think, gave it new life, if I'm being perfectly honest, because the way he plays his character Hobbs, he just has such a demeanor to him, and his dynamic throughout the entire movie, as well as the movies that follow after this that he appears in as well. He just adds so much charisma and such an on-screen presence to these movies, and it's a character you're not typically used to seeing The Rock play. Eventually he does join the team and become more of a hero, but in this first one, he's definitely sought after as more of the villain, and watching The Rock get to play against being the hero is quite nice because it hardly ever happens. The only other time I can really remember him playing a villain was in the Doom adaptation, which was not very good, but he actually did a pretty good job in it because he was playing against what he normally plays. The Scorpion King kind of fits in there as well, but we're not really going to talk about that one. But yeah, I just think adding this character, it just gave this series such a new presence that it was missing, and just bringing all these characters together and doing this Ocean's 11 style movie, I think really worked pretty much on every level. There's not a lot in this movie that I dislike. I think it's a perfect structure of a 3-act movie, because this movie's about 2 hours and 10 minutes. If you're counting the credits and everything like that. But basically the first 40 minutes is a great setup. You have Brian and Mia rescuing Dom, excuse me, from his prison bus. And then you have them going down to Brazil and getting involved with Vince, who actually returns. Matt Schultz, his character from the first movie, comes back as well, which is a nice thing to see. And they get into all their stuff. Second act of this movie is them assembling their team and getting all these characters from the previous movies to come in and help them steal this money. And then the third act is the finale, where you get to watch everything culminate to one and have one of the best action set pieces in any action movie ever. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, this movie defies all laws of physics, but who the hell cares, because the action sequences in this movie are top notch. Most of them are actually very much practical, which is awesome. Yeah, there's some CG here and there, but the CG actually works to its advantage because it doesn't look bad. It actually looks pretty solid in most cases. So it's not taking away from the action like it did in part 4, where a lot of the CG there just didn't look natural, and it felt like, it felt even faker than it actually was. Yeah, the stunts here are impossible, but they are worthwhile in watching because it's a good mixture of practical and CGI effects. But when you get to that finale where it's Dom and Brian pulling the bank vault down the streets of Brazil and just crashing into cars and street signs and street lamps and all kinds of stuff, causing all kinds of wreckage and everything, it just gets crazy. And it's such a sight to see. It's what makes this movie so entertaining is all of the action works so well. It's kind of nonstop with it. You get a lot of great comedy because you get a lot of good back and forth between characters like Roman and Tej, and you get to flesh out those characters a little bit more and kind of learn a little bit more about them. Yeah, they give Tej, all of a sudden he is a hacker guy that's good with tech, which he wasn't really that in Too Fast, Too Furious. And they make Leo and Santos demolition experts, which they weren't really in part 4 either. So a lot of these characters have new roles that they're taking on, but it's a welcome addition to them because we're getting to learn a little bit more about them, other than just, hey, look, it's this rapper, or hey, look, it's this singer that's making an appearance in this movie. And that's just another thing to really enjoy with this movie. Like I said, I don't think there's a lot here that doesn't work. The villain, outside of The Rock, Reyes guy, he's not the best villain. And again, this is, the 5th movie we're talking about, and I'm talking about another underwhelming villain. This franchise just isn't really built on villains. Now, when you get into a couple of the next few, like with Owen Shaw and Deckard Shaw and Cypher, I think some of those villains actually work pretty well. This first batch of them, they're not the greatest, but, I've seen worse in other movies, so it definitely gets a pass because the rest of the movie is so entertaining and so energetic that you can't help but love it. Overall, I would give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. It is without a doubt the best in the series by far. This is where I think the series hits its peak, because from here after, yeah, they might go down a little bit in quality, but to me, 5 through 7 is the best parts of this franchise so far. I haven't seen Fast X yet, and I know there's going to be an 11th movie in the next couple years as well to finish out the series, but 5 through 7, I think it's a sweet spot for this series. It gets everything right. It brings in so many characters and so many different dynamics that I think everything works well enough, and we'll get into more of it when we talk about parts 6 and 7 in upcoming reviews. But that is about it for me. You guys, let me know what you thought about Fast 5 in the comments below if you have seen it. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more reviews, and continuing on with my Fast and Furious rewatch, I'll leave all my links down below on where you can follow me and check out more of my reviews. And until next time, I'll catch you all later.